Wase county ile Nyamira nigo Ogeropita na Felix Nyakundi bakubwatira na kuyasaka onsi na kuyaweka semeza ya kuana netaya boigo kurase county ya Kisii nigo tubwate Saginikirosi Thomas oyo batete kinsemo chobasi chinga Cornelius Mogusu Onyancha abwatete kinsemo chabo machoge ya Borabuna bo machoge chache boigo Kelvin Onderi niga bwatete kinsemo cha South Mugrango chingaki Eric Mawe aganete ko bwata chinsemo chibwate kitutu chache South kitutu chache North nyalibari chache na boigo chinsemo cha Bonchari senchira yuko nyaliga na kuyasaka boigo Josephat Moracha nigo abwatete onsi kurase county ya Nyamira ya county ya Nairobi chingaki anene mona gendete ko yaliga na kuyasaka boigo na kwenekia ngalia gendete ko korekana ko chinsemo iki ya capital city yabekare anena mono ime yobrabo gusieta TV wetera semero bali yaito na intuto era libaga liugo kumanya itukolera mwancho muriria niko na chiraiga anena mono lokone kianga ngogendra turi gukwana monaye na namuno gukwanira mangana aria akurengete na gutulenga mutwensi elio anene gwitira nona sabaga ni baito twate makuriga machibu na kubamano litukolera rero niko turachie kumurekera mangana arengete okutabe kwa gosogo tabararo kwa mangana ose ekiombekia IEBC na iko litukolera bagende baito niko barache toteme gukwanira iguro yanganengima ya the IEBC dilemma goikariri abakenya abana siasa barabe bakolera iguro yo gutabararo kwa mangana ya IEBC tujikote makuligira lero nga what are the possibilities yugo twara IEBC miense itu ya Kenya and what are the impossibilities na boigo kolengana neli chiko miagaki IEBC wanete koba in place elio kwenekia no inobo choli obonene igo bano tujiko ya kwanera ayo chingaki abageni baito barabe baikirime ye nyumba ya yuboraria Etaya House se umurubiri yigo kwana netari tuko lero kobono turagenda gumwanchu muriria mangeri agendete koene kiwemense itu ya Kenya na kubwa mono murai bwense amine kiombekeria gose bunge nene nigo yanyare tukoba kegwetia elietari yaye Abd Ahmed Mahmoud anemno gochakone kanganero gochikoba umuteneneri wekiombekeria gekurwania obokurumi kamanyakaide buna EACC onye umuraibense William Samoei Ruto kago chikomo appoint bono gosikomo chikomo chora nigo Mahmoud oyo boniga olebuna CEO gosomo teneri bwa mangana osebwe kiombekeria gia ant graft body arache kwera libaga aliya ye Twali Mbarak oyo ogorwa abisi amwe gechinga kitogoswa January kabono in case omorai wense William Samoei Ruto kago chakobekese ugwetiwa kwelia taliaye Abd Ahmed Mahmoud kwelibaga aliaye omosiyo kwelibaga aliaye bono muteneri wekembe kikurwani obokurumye manyakende buna Twali Mbaraki nigo Abd Mahmoud ibono arachiko swabisi ochakira omwako gocha omutenyi omotangani ayo nali agendete kwenekiwa boigo kurase kinsemecho anakora kurache kurase oburai obonene na gwetira ase bunge enene boigo control of budget ikine kiombe nigo kyanyare ko bakego sokya chi county au chiri chibwatiraniri no gutwara chi account che chibengi wetania chibengi chi misato na nindo chaiganga control of budget yoro butirili kumanyakane buna Margaret Nyakango nigo anyare ko bakago chikwana na usigago chisokya na nigaburi chinyare ko bachikulingoliwa anene mono asikeleke ko tebekare buna chi county chi ko saba gavana baigaba bwate chi account chibengi chireke tane chimisato banyare ko bakulingoliwa asikeleke ko tebekana buna ogotwara wechi account chigache nyinga nigo chirengete kwenekia obuibi muna bono governor Obaringo Benjamin Cheboi nigo egotebekana abwate chipengi kosi chi account chimibere na mirongo kianda na ibere asegotebekana buna chi account chimibere na mirongo 5 na isana nemo chibekire asamangana ya health facilities Waigo mugabano bungo Maken Lusaka na era nabwatiranitia asogotwara ki account chichibengi chinyinge asegotebekana buna Ken Lusaka nigabwate chi account kimi isato na era nigatakirwe chikuringorigwa asogotwara chi account chinyinge mono ekyo kagotebekana buna chi account jika chinyinge niko chirengete koligia chimbinu kyoko twara oboibi anene mono gosobo kurumi oigo county ya Elgeyo Marakwet nigo oigo mugabana bwe Chinsa mecho county ya Elgeyo Marakwet egotebekana abwate ki account kosikibengi kimi emiyemo na 55 yani 155 accounts was bank accounts oigo account ya Kajiado mugabana bwe Chinsa mochire nigotebekana nere abwate ki account sikibengi kimi abwate ki account 50 kingaki account ya Embo mugabana bwe Chinsa mecho abwate ki account 45 nemo oigo county ya Kakamega mugabana bwe Chinsa mecho nigotebekana abwate chibengi usiki account 44 kinga kindoche county ya Kwale mugabana bwe Chinsa mecho gotebekana abwate ki account 50 nomo na kinga ki account ya Migori nero ibwatirane samangana gusaba gabana bali babwate ki account kinyinge kinga ki mugabana bwe county ya Migori abwate ki account 55 na Ibere na Isano nemo icho nejagati echi county wetra saba gamana chikotebekana chibwate ki account kinyinge na wetra se Montenegro o control of budget Margaret Nyakang nigo atebire buna chibenge chiga anena mono nigo chigo tumeka kweneke gosogo cover up amangana yo boibi machobuliria boigo aba senator nigo baonyare ko babako mobolia mawaziri bwa mangana ya madini use mining o manyikere na alias Joho kweru sana nigo se wetanga use nigo ba momo kire kegima na se mangana yo kokosereria aba Kenya gota tumeka online chiabo nimono ko kejeli serikali nimono mo senator ona Nairobi oyumanyekana una Sifuna nigo anyare ko bagako mobolia waziri Ali Hassan Joho kwerusana na mangana rengetoko ko serali okwe kiagara ere talimona siasa numo waziri ale igobono airusana nekegima na kwa abana siasa libaga lyoko emochia eserikali ekero okomochiwa kora aroro oigo ndocha iganga amangana rengete mo yokabero moraibwe kya makeria kya ODM Raila Amolo Odinga ndocha iga nigo ndoche debate era gotebekana muna Raila nigara chekomerana na abaruone libabere abatingu somjadala anene mono ugose debate yokulie kero kelia kya African Union kinga kindoche debate yera chokolekana sekie dikwata usikia bisikinene ime ya county osensemelia Ethiopia anene mono se capital city ya Ethiopia yimanyikeribu na Addis Ababa na nigera cheko eneki kwa chitaliki 13 mutinyo yoiga mwaka wa 2024 boigo nigo se candidates balia bakagere bawo chikumirana na Raila Amolo Odinga nene so mjadalo yo ngamo na olia Ojibuti Mohamud Ali Yusuf na boigo olia o Madagascar manyikani na Richard Randria Madriato boigo AUC elections nigo chitage chirache ko take place osikira kokolekana so mutinyi okabere mwaka wa 2025 na boigo ndocha iganga Raila nigarache kumirana nabo boigo mo speaker bwebunge nene Moses Wetangula nigo alekanire kago sira kegima muraibu moyo kabiru muraibu kama kia ODM Raila Amolo Odinga guchakoena kia obobui se ekiroge kyo kia African Union Chairmanship se egeikarogia Pan African Parliament chinga kibo mweranete na representatives kurwase Chinsa mechirikia DRC Congo, Uganda, Zambia na boigo Tunisia se abisiaye anene mono so mochie o Nairobi boigo mancho mulirelia mwaziri omonene oyobo igoro mwaziri wa mangana y'ichinsi case komsali Mudavadi nigo agendete ko enekia ogosira kwaye ochia sera ila Amolo Odinga ile ko nekia nganere ochare konyora obobui anene mono se ekiroge kyo kia African Union Chairmanship machumrire boigo yagendete ko enekiwa ngamo na alianga ababunge bonsi pibono niko bachire mamincha ningana ya serikali yagania kubeka kokina chibesa cha mangana alia pass certificate negatia mangana ande bunabono ID bunabono mangana ale amendment ikiri cha bunabono kerote to chinjino ne lieta se kibanda kiago niko bonete wakana bunabono shilingi 1000 ayemo previously ngagete niko bontali wakana shilingi 100 no shilingi kimibere bona serikali niko ya bote kerengererio kyuko kini number 1 ekarwa asiri none kibande rate kinyare ko bakigo kinigwa birth certificate kirate kinyare ko ba kigo kinigwa ko ababunge bono niko bakire mamincha nege tambukere kyo gya serikali kogania wokinia anene mono chibesa kiro montabona tegutumika number 1 kwa nyorere kibande birth certificate no nyene kerongi litali anyare ko baligo salika boigo nigetakeire kwa nyare ko bakogwa kana chishiringi 1000 ya mumuna bono kolengana na amendment elia yanyare ko bakego soka anemone wiki elia aita nyorote ko bold dayana previously tuabere tugo twaro monto gwa kana gusene emigo se 200 ni most cases yokonyora nabokonyora umuntu ligeta malieta obuya but ekere certificate yeko chikosoka kwanyoranga injira kwa bigeta malieta awo sikwa yabangite kwanyoranga kerokende abaire interchange tiko sasa liki goseni gutagete ya asirire kaboli dayana ngalinde nganingo tubone tuko blame sama ngana bona yiga ekiagara bona serikali ya raised kibese kiro monta bona te wakana in case mnabona seke band onye gotete go change elieta go Cyrus Cyrus RUS ono ali ya ruro ya bekiru Cyrus ngakiubona to ko tanga mangana ya iga usenga kiubona te anemono ko change in case kwa kwenda kuongera libone nguteka ya serikali seke banda kolengana na serikali ose amendment ya nyara ko bakeko soka nigo bona te ko shilingi 1000 ko ababunge niko bachire mamincha anene mono na mangana lengete ebinto bunebiga boigo ekiombe kiabalia bakurwanira nene mono bwene bamwanya bantu kimanyekene muna Voko Africa na nene mono wetra executive officer ye obo anene mono yumanyekere muna Hussein Halid nigo ayare ko bakawe sokia na koyemo serikali anene mono ase amangana ganda tugokina anene mono amangana yogo itwa kwa basubati ayo amanyekere muna femicide anene mono emense ito ya Kenya na nigo atebire buna obo lingoli gosobotuki mbranyara ko babo korekana se enchira engiya ne iyo yanyare ko bakigotanga gosekego kekoira ngora chinchera kyokurwania amangana buna iyo arengete ogoitwa kwa basubati anene mone mense aito ya Kenya usena lead niko boigatebete buna security apparatus mense ito ya Kenya wetera saba ya nyimbo baito nakyo na nemo chia feriri soko ene kibuna enamba yabasubati bali bakunyara ko baba guitwa ya kinire niko bona abori serikali koirege tambo kerekenene na kwenekia anene mono amangana lengito guitwa ko basubati asumuno bwe kenyamurero bakoyerokanga femicide anyare ko bakagutangwa limorioka mense ito ya Kenya na kwenekia buna abantu gusaba subati komenya bale batabuati kimba mwancho muliria ayayiga nigo agendete kwane kigwa chinga ki amatuko 15 na limo ya mangana lengete gender based violence and mono mense ita Kenya aganda tekwana kiwa na wikira wiki go tali tukira Jumanne kitariki 10 kagera tonye tinda gosea na rio turache goika omweli gosuna turache go crown 16 days of gender based violence and mono mense ita Kenya igo muna Hussein Haliday ragoteba nigo number 1 akomocha serikali asukuira ngora na nemona mangana lengete obotuki kero monta akure tugo botuki banyara ko bakorekana baria banyara ko bago usikana na mangana yoboiti babekwa biara ndagoteba buna obotuki oboiga oso utakorekana ko obotuki boisaine nigo kwairiro komentekana kwe namba y'abasubati bali banyara ko bago itwa anemone mensi ya itu ya Kenya omwaka oyoiga mancho muriria boigo nindoche gaiganga boigo mangana lengete megiro y'abanyagitari ndoche kurwase Chinsemo kiria che county area ya Machakos niko bono amatuko oikaraboniga tuko bara matuko 50 na atano nalimo gose 56 days. Today today is the 56th day and mono kinga kia banyagitari bagendete kone kyumugiro motindi meye county area ya Machakos na nigo bono ndoche county government etaraira gitambukiro kende yonse kurati Chinsemo na banyagitari abo se kyumbeki ke banyagitari nigo kyamukirie county government ye county hiyo ya Machakos aso gutaira gitambukiro kende yonse elio kone kyo koera kumugiro bw'abanyagitari kurwase Chinsemo che county hiyo ya Machakos manchomaliria tokwenda sensemo ya kabere ya studio elio turayanyora alia bariki baito bamangana banyareko babotwaliganiria ye maseyemo witrasa bariki baito bamangana koba tuturaganda se studio tuye kamanyeliga ito manchomaliria rio komanya witrasa mitandao niko tonyora at Facebook Muneta TV, YouTube watonyora boiga Muneta TV, kingaki aso mtandao TikTok na boiga Twitter gose X okotonyora buna Etaya TV kurwa sura somo bari yo manchomaliria na bokori kebirengera byago kingakiri tukoria rero turachigo ikara na boigo gukwanira mangana lengete the IBC dilemma. What is the way forward for IBC? Wikiraboniga miaka ng'ebire bone tigarete togende so bachondio banene nakorengana buna manyiteri kikake nigo IBC bana to in place 3 years too na boro chinga matuko nagenda tukominyoka igonto tuko yakwanira tubura ningo tukwana te ko blame anene mono asamangana ayogo tabaro kwa IEBC anene mono ekyombe ekyo anene mono kebona te kwena kiabo choli amuna bono emense itu ya Kenya wanchomuriria abagambi gose bali bachole tumwaka bikilifu 2022 abande banyare ko bagosira abande banyare ko bakwerusia abisi gwetra senkira yoko resign ekyo getakeire kwenekia obocholi bomanyakere muna by elections ko wikiraboniga by elections ejingira nyara ko bachiko ena kiwa ebyombe bihinde gose Chinsemo chinde wikiraboniga nigo cyane kirie miaka ang'ebere gose tato ya etire munabone ward iri ya Nyamaiya ani mun kurase county iri ya Nyamira iya bereke gukwano asege kegetambe esa omo MC bo Chinsemo cho anyara ko bakagosira nigo emiaka talimeke ya nyara ko bakigweta na baranyara ko bagokora bochori bonde bwensi kumuriga no komo choro no mo MC yonde to take place aseri baga anemono munelio elio kone kyanga abantu buna balia banyamaiya gose ward ya Nyamaiya teriko tigwa magiga asamangana aya magendro kobwa mono ase Chinsemo bunecho tari yabuoka Chinsemo chinde au mwancho mulilia bwangu gantonya toko bonto nyara ko toko na kia resignations ya basene tabande anemono muna yo mobono uri nyara toko baga kwa gotwaro bwoba magayo ko bamamincha na impeachment yo mokoni bumura ibwensiri kadigashagwa nera kanyara ko baga gwitigimiremo asote obuna nigo aboere tubugima bwaye gatia mangana nda mange onye IEBC yarenge ase emirimo angaboniga igotugo kwanera by elections ase Chinsa mogete by elections ase Chinsa mogete tuchikwe karanza seri tukuliara nako ya kwanera yo na yanda mange anomono na ningotubonete komocha azugutaboro wekiombe kyo kia IEBC mjumaliga to sukana nyanga kingo kuboya ngo gende kwa kusanga mana intwe anomono meyo morubili kwana neta litukulera ya Alhamisi kitariki Isano mnabotambe lyane gokurukwa Cyrus Aziz. Manchua muligerelia karibu na ende meyo morobelio okwana netaya eliotogendere ko kwana na gukumanya na ria gendete gokolekana imense ito ya Kenya na kubwa mono ku ya chakalioka nigo komenyi kubuna mwaziri bwa mache Eric Mugamurithi nigo asetaro ya gochi asenyancha ya Baringo areire chinchira enyanche iyo erache gokonya soko yorokereria ebimelia ase Chinsa mecho eliokonekia rigesa rigia na gochi ase aba nyorukereria aba pekera irrigation scheme abo basemeretie enyanche iyo ya Baringo Murithi niko boigo aboririe engane iyo gotakorerwa nga siasa na kweniki kobotera no konene ile kweniki alige saligia kurasi Chinsa mecho cha Baringo.
Food security and the issue on using Lake Baringo to do farming within the region is a key agenda, and we have agreed not to politicize this one. This is a development agenda. As a ministry, we have a responsibility of doing more than 44,000 acres this year only to increase irrigation. So every acreage put under irrigation in Baringo County actually counts. We have been in talks with the area leadership. We have been in talks with the county government of Baringo to ensure that we all pull our weight, because it is a collective effort, so that we give Kenyans value for the money, make sure that our natural resources of land, which is Baringo County being one of the largest counties, is actually, there is value for that land. This scheme is famous for production of seed, because these companies contract local farmers to do the farming and therefore uptake that. So there's a guarantee uptake, especially on seeds, legumes. I think as we speak behind me, you can see some okra coming up that will be harvested in 3 months. And these are the farm produce, apart from other horticulture products that are done here, that shape the narrative of food security within the region. This scheme is a source of livelihoods, on employment to the young people, on food to the people around, and also it is a source of income to the county government, because as we do business here, they are collecting something. The more skills you have, the better for you in the modern world. So if anyone wants to be interested in agriculture, we are providing facilities to ensure that agriculture can be done. If you want to continue being a pastoralist, the lands are still there. It's an expansive constituency. And it has also in a way impacted positively on matters security, because our people are engaged, the contractor is giving jobs to the people around, and also we are teaching them another way of life. So diversification in their portfolio is also part of cohesion and bringing people together, because you can't farm in isolation. You must interact with a producer, you must interact with a supplier, you must interact with another customer out there for you to sell your wares. So as you said, it is a step in the right direction. As we speak, the area under irrigation here is 2,600 acres, but also other farms surrounding the main irrigation scheme are doing almost 200 acres. This is a scheme that has a livelihood capacity and generates income to the people of Pekera to a tune of almost 690 million a year. That is excluding the subsistence consumption.
Ancho mnile muna kwa igure mwaziri yo Eric Muga nyalakopaka kwerera nigo aereire amaya arasi nyanche iyo ya Baringo chingaki aligereti bosio kuchikwana kiali ya salinene kuetrase okonyorokereria kurasa macha ya Baringo na namono gochiase abalimi ako bwamono balia bapekera irrigation scheme mwanchoborire gosuka bosio umusubati usumu first lady bwense ya Kenya umusubati Rachel Ruto nigo aseritu kore igoro achagite beno muroberio webiticha asikisukuru cha Nairobi bakoboterane kyombekeria gia 4K Rachel nigo boigo aborite abalimu abarene bekisukuru Wesegeta aborokiwa gochakia ibiticha sikisukuru wetira ase kyombekeria gia 4K boigo asarite koboterane nokorene ne wizara y'uburimi.
Food security and the issue on using.
We want just to do the one small thing, encourage the learners. And we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture through the 4K clubs. And I'm very happy because the 4K clubs have been revived. And we are saying, let's enhance the kitchen gardens, the gardens that we have in our schools. I know that through the 4K clubs and even through just the good desire of the leaders and the principals of the schools, every school in this nation has a kitchen garden. And you know, sometimes you just need to encourage somebody to tell them, you are doing a good job. Let's do it together. And so we have come. For those that already have kitchen gardens, we just want to enhance what they have. And for those that have not started, working with the 4K clubs in schools, we want to start kitchen gardens. And I want to appreciate Mheshimiwa Elachi because of what she has done in the county. We were here with Mama County earlier, and through NGAF, she's also working with schools in issues of kitchen gardens and issues of fruits, you know, in our institutions. Food is everything. A nation that does not have food for her people is a nation that cannot move forward. Because, as we say, for us teachers, you can never teach a hungry child. And even for the leaders, you cannot talk to hungry people. And hunger is really something that takes away the dignity of a nation. And I want to thank God because we are blessed as a nation. As much as we have the deserts and the arsal areas, we are also privileged to have the islands, the highlands and places where we are able to grow our food. I want to congratulate farmers across this nation because many times we look at farming as something that is not for everybody. But I want to encourage all of us here today and everyone listening to me that all of us can be farmers. Whether we live in rural areas where the farms are bigger, whether we live in urban settings, we can do farming. Food is everything. A nation that does not have food for her people is a nation that cannot move forward. Because, as we say, for us teachers, you can never teach a hungry child. And even for the leaders, you cannot talk to hungry people. And hunger is really something that takes away the dignity of a nation. And I want to thank God because we are blessed as a nation. As much as we have the deserts and the arsal areas, we are also privileged to have the islands, the highlands and places where we are able to grow our food.
If we want to be healthy, if we want to find good food, it is us who needs to plant that food. That food security, that sustainable goal of eradicating hunger is critical for our nation, for us to.
Mwanchwa murigele na koigwe musubati Rachel Ruto wanyaraka bagakwerera nigo orokirio magokoye asokwirana gweke ombikeria gia 4K club ani mune kyombeke kigotoka sikisukuru kegosegeta borokia osaborokigwa ani mono sechinchera cyo gotwale biticha na kwene kiangano ne chinye ni chinke kiri gutumika sikisukuru ngotoka kire nigo bigaburia bali mu abanene mwancho babikisukuru bali mu abanene bikisukuru kwene kianga kosegeta bali kyombekyo na gokebeka chinguru elio kwene kianga abana munabo barasi kisukuru babwate alene mono amaiga neganga yo kutaka go prosper asa mangara lengete obolemi na baige biticha kubasegeta na kwene kimirubilio buneyo boigo mancho muri gusuka bosio mwaziri manene uyo boigo mwaziri wa mangana y'Chinsa Isano komsale mudavadi nigo asili tukuligoro aikiranete asomeyega uko chake bene umurubilio bukogania murubilio bugo ikirania mirubiro ya serikali gwetera umurubilio equalization fund project libagalia ya muraiwense ya Kenya Muske William Samuel Ruto.
And now it is my pleasure to hand over the following 265 projects in 14 counties. Now I officially launch implementation of the following 1,236 projects, and let me very quickly just go through them, and I hope they'll be beamed. We start with Baringo County. There are 141 projects valued at 559.4 million Kenya shillings. In Bungoma, there are 7 projects valued at 58 million Kenya shillings. In Busia, there are 3 projects valued at 18 million Kenya shillings. Elgeyo Marakwet, 56.6 million worth of projects, which number 16. In Garissa, there are 20 projects valued at 168 million Kenya shillings. Homa Bay, 29, valued at 122 million Kenya shillings. Isiolo, 25, valued at 166 million Kenya shillings. Kajiado, 27, valued at 195.7 million shillings. Kilifi, 58 projects valued at 501 million Kenya shillings. Kisumu, 4 projects valued at 24 million Kenya shillings. Kitui, 111 projects valued at 384 million shillings. Kwale, 60 projects valued at 282 million Kenya shillings. Laikipia, 34 projects valued at 116 million Kenya shillings. Machakos, 2 projects valued at 13 million Kenya shillings. Mandera, 87 projects valued at 733 million Kenya shillings. Marsabit, 81 projects valued at 395 million shillings. Meru, 6 projects valued at 29 million Kenya shillings. Migori, 41, valued at 173 million Kenya shillings. Murang'a, 1, valued at 5.6 million Kenya shillings. Nakuru, 1, valued at 6.4 million Kenya shillings. Nandi, 30 projects valued at 117 million Kenya shillings. Samburu, 39 projects valued at 636 million Kenya shillings. Siaya, 7 projects valued at 32 million Kenya shillings. Taita Taveta, 3 projects valued at 13 million Kenya shillings. Tana River, 47 projects valued at 319 million Kenya shillings. Tharaka Nithi, 9 projects valued at 26 million Kenya shillings. Trans Nzoia is 1, valued at 7.5 million Kenya shillings. Turkana, 84 projects valued at 1,075 million Kenya shillings. Wajir, 192 projects valued at 634 million Kenya shillings. And West Pokot, 70 projects valued at 1,021 million Kenya shillings, a total of 8,090,610 and 726.57 Kenya shillings, and projects in total 1,236. I therefore officially launch the Equalization Fund Strategic Plan of 2024 to 2028. Since the fund has a lifespan, we must use public resources and the limited time we have to invest in projects that will serve Kenyans in the marginalized areas for many years to come. CRA should also think of a threshold for a county to be categorized as marginalized. The administrative costs for implementing the fund may outstrip the benefits when marginal allocations are involved. We are all aware that the government is faced by revenue shortfalls, even as the National Treasury and Parliament put in place revenue-enhancing measures. In the face of these shortfalls, my administration, through the National Treasury, is committed to fully implement the plan that has been agreed upon by all parties to clear the arrears owed to the Equalization Fund. This will allow us to avail equal opportunities to all Kenyans, including those living in the marginalized areas. As we celebrate the full operationalization of Article 204, I want to laud the National Treasury and the Equalization Fund Advisory Board for launching the strategic plan today, through which we can hold the fund to account on delivery of the projects of Article 204 of the COK. I must emphasize that we are obligated to uphold transparency and accountability. In the implementation of the projects, Kenyans will be keenly monitoring the promises you have made in the strategic plan and will not hesitate to hold you to account on any failures. Finally, I invite all patriotic Kenyans to contribute in safeguarding the investments that we make with public resources. Let us all guard against plunder or vandalization of these projects so that our children can benefit from the services and put marginalization to the grave where it belongs. Kenyans, let us keep up the excellent work, selfless dedication, and invaluable contribution in our communities. I also want to ask Kenyans living in marginalized areas to embrace alternative mechanisms to address disputes that may arise in the implementation of the Equalization Fund. We have seen numerous litigations slow down the fund and delay the benefits that are due to these areas.
Mwancho mligerelia yine nkuwa na yae waziri wa mangana Chinsa Isano yabigoro mwaziri manena msale mudavadi chingaki aikeranite soma yega bogo chakia pene umurubelio omanyake na Equalization Fund projects anamune mense itu ya Kenya chingaki aigetarano soko bantinena na kwa mana kwera libagalia yumuraibwense William Samoei Ruto se omoyego uyu usikabose mwancho mligerelia wizara yobolendi nikobono yabekire mirubelio ayogo tinyo bolendi chingaki echiga chemega Yesu guko na gukora omwaka asinkora ya bene ni kinyomba cyobaralia umuriki obotambe permanent secretary Raymond Omolo nigo arerete na kubolia bakenya koba nomulembe chingaki echiga Yesu guku na bayigo chingaki cyo gukora omwaka ajitoganda sensemi ya kabiri ya studio tategere nkwana ya Raymond Omolo.
We do recognize that this season is a time that is marked by increased travel, celebrations in places of worship, social gatherings, in shopping malls and recreational spaces, outdoor entertainment events, and heightened local and international tourism activities. The current security situation across the country remains calm. However, we have witnessed isolated cases of marginal rise in crime rates and illegal activities during some of the festive seasons that we've had in the past. Our analysis highlights the following trends which require vigilance from the public. One are petty offenses, which includes pickpocketing and muggings in crowded areas, such as in malls, markets, public transport terminal, becoming easy points for criminal targeting valuables such as jewelry, mobile phones, and handbags. 2 are burglaries that happen at homes, where unattended homes present opportunities for burglars, and we have also witnessed a surge in car breaks in villages where families have traveled up country. Number 3 are traffic violations. These include drunk driving, overloading and speeding of public transport vehicles, which escalate road fatalities. Unscrupulous owners also tend to deploy unlicensed public service vehicles to meet the high travel demand. As you know, the number of people will be traveling is unusually high during this period.
Mwancho mligereria wita TV karibu naende buna koigura abo mu waziri oyose mu permanent secretary w'wizara y'oburendi bwaime Raymond Molo niganyarire ko bagakoboria bakenya bonsi gutwara murembe utatiga bono meanwhile nigo barabo babikiro borendi kweneke buna uraburu chinde cyonsi ngire gukonekiwa ase kiga cyesuku na boigo ogukura omwaka wanjye bulero sukabosyo sagenikiro si Thomas niga komanya buna musubati yo mukuru ase kenyoro kia botorome ya kabere location ya Igare ward ya Buitangare sub county ya Samete mi county ya Kisi nigo egetebekana anyoreta makweri ya senkira yo botutukanu mugako nyegusira nigetebekana begetubiara na koirwa goikase getasini kya nyimbo ime ya Igare urenchere ya moyo gokonya serikali weikirania obotuki
Wakwaniri andeonsi asamara muturireti abanchi ventilation yetaya nigona nyare gutara ase kenyoro gyanturume tu kegotoka ime ya Buitangare asensemo ya Igare asensemo yega nigona nyare go ikana boigo konyora ebirero ebinge mono na boigo amono muchano omutindi mono kugwate kananga omongino yo monigo anyare tugosiria ogimo boyeri tukuriye goro asikinjira chobo kurekanu
abaibali bane ngonya guchanda na bali wana kera bakonya guchanda nango nya gukwanira bali ni amate ngango nya kubakwanira bali na njengo nya kubakwanira andi none yikirete ase barua bagosanite bakarwana narengo school narengo college ngakirwe sini ngatema mu muroire o akeigo ngatema gukuri
aigo mu subati yo mo gateba nga chati okuri bono ngatene ngasanga chati oriyo ekerongo chigo tegerera nganyora abantu bagukura nga chati okure na njengo jigocha nganyora bamuile nyagitari bona kero twa nyora ngochire nyagitari na twa minyogete ko chinyagitari nyamagwa tokonyora nga ekene yakwite
nagusira ne kamati yane uyo bwate tukarine no mwana ominto nero kundu mageria kabiri so nanya tengo akirwe siningo tebigunga mwana oyo kabere no arenge bwone nyaruka morete gocha mamu mwaboku ngo boringi kiamuri nga moreta ayo wana ngo ikaga igatogoika no mwana nganyora abantu baikiri school gai ngo boringi kiaba nga ya chaki oku ringi chaki kiamuri yago nga ya chaki no maita kuna kunywa marunya kurara isiko kurara riska matukatato kwanza matukane wana mambi mikali gachi kuboka ende chikoni achiko utaro seri abane ndagera bali agende gasi nabwo atebeti ariko nakubutolera akamuruko abarura roseri abana kindi wana umwana ekerachi kuigora nyumba nyora chaki orairo okurangiri mbatata chaki mamu yore gaiga wana mikali kerabeka kuigora goswa nyumba konyora chaki no araire sabu nanko eres naigete bakonga nyora bwa sara ire bintu mbirararite bicanjire byankinsabu wana tatu mwabo ngakamubutori orenga konyenga yoro gocha kurara bana gachinse chisoko guchigaiga ngaka bangango mukurura ari guchisi ko buna toigweta kwaereza bana rendo umwana uyo kumubuturi oroiga ngoko nyoro guturungana amwana gochaka gukura abantu bakumyaka gocha bagochaka goitamika eri ngaka goitire musibati
konyona achire mugondo ongo eja koigwera orora ebikuru nkobwa enaruka natige ebikuru bigokora biko monto kyoko asoko karo mane ntoche te bakaga tukanyora umwana oyu chaki akorete akonya kuruka manyinga tukamubwata tukamubeka pikipiki akairu nyagitari
nabo baje tubakaira umugako uyo kuruku kaka elinde aji gukwana ngaki nonere munyore to
nigo mungino yo babugete buya nabo igo engakienke akanyarusire bugima asebono bakumetinga inkikosikya nyare tukorekanira omungino yo iga asikin semechiga nigo abairi amana basani bagenda tukocha nabo igo abantu bekenyoreke bare asa bange banyargo ikaga igo bari no kondoko kono mono nande bakumetinga inkikosikya nyare tukorekanira omungino yo iga
Onchomleria muna kwa gure sagni kirosi atoerere gwitira asichinse mecho ikaranite nigo amakuli yobo tutuka nonyarite kwa bagako enakiwa na abanyanyimbo gwitira soko bwata mogako nyagosira nigo bachakirie obotuki asenkira ya bene onchomleria manjira togenda asensemo ya kabiri ya studio turaswa kidogo nkore turasenkira usasentunda ya kabiri aramuno nabagani kinga kituragande gukwanira igoro yengana ya dilemma iyagenda te kweneki wa ase ikyombekeria kia IEBC wera nanda sege keke koma nchobulilya kubuli ngo ganda kulilia ta TV barabu wagusi
Etaya TV Omurabu Wagusi Nobwateliborio ekerengererio gusukwe murungania igoro yemerobiria ito buna Etaya TV nabo gotulikera liukolike gwetere namba yesimi 0735 333 000 gose otolikere email asetayagusitv@gmail.com boigo nabogo tutarira asichiabisi cheito echo chigotoka kise ensemo ya nyamataro ase nyumba ya Etaya House nigo twebekire busyo kira chingaki elio koene kiabuna nkonyorore obokorerio bya ase okwegokia gwesemia na kwemanyia Etaya TV Oburabu Wagusi. Basis Junior School ni shule inayompa mtoto wako nafasi ya kupata elimu bora na kukuza talanta kuzingatia na mtaala wa CBC. Wanaanzia play group hadi grade ya 7. Wavulana na wasichana na ni ya kutwa na bweni, yani day and boarding. Wako na mabweni na madarasa ya kisasa, maabara ya kompyuta, usafiri na walimu wa kutosha waliohitimu na kukubaliwa na serikali. Pia wanafunzi hupata nafasi nzuri kujifurahisha kupitia swimming, kutalii na michezo mbalimbali.
Welcome to Basis Junior School in Kisii County. We are located at Mosocho, Matieko, Ruga Road. Our environment is clean, safe and conducive for learning. It's the best school for indoor and outdoor learning.
Shule hii inapatikana Mosocho katika barabara ya Matieko kwenda Ruga. Admission inaendelea. Kwa mengi watembelea au kupiga simu kwa nambari 0718669579 0718669579. Basis Junior School, nurturing individual excellence. Healthy Kenya International Center ni nyagitari egotoka imeyomo chobusongo egotumeka chimashini chiekerero chikomoleka ebimo byago na kumanyaso bebole nabako amariogo arosirie kurwa semete arosirie nebirengo byeigoro mono kurwa chinse jaisiko nkubwenya bali amarwere buna diabetes gose esukari, high blood pressure, emechando yechinengo, cancer, chinyigo, emechando yabaga kabuna low libido, obogomba amona yande amange. Nigo babwate amaryo chakera yabana goikabanto abanene.
Inche no munyagitari irinike maubanye omo director bwa enyagitari tukuroka HK International Medical Center erega yugo muchito bosongo na inde ni gonta getoko bari gani mono sana no kubatebinga ni goto gova services chiekerero tugotumia obobwenia bwekerero technology yo kurigererio mubero omugima na inde twarigereria ngambi mo kibiri byasero gutwara umucanda twakwa amaryogo na amaryoga yetu ni gotunya rusiti ase Chinsa Isano ao nande ni gare habo ayuto kurusia Chinsa Isano nabono kurustura maryoga sense ya Hong Kong eyeri ni China na maryoga ande ni goto kurusia sense ya Malaysia ayande kurustura sense ya Spain na ayande ni goto kurusia sense ya California Los Angeles California in USA maryoga ande nale to kurusia somo cho India na ayande ni goto kunyarusia sense ya South Africa ayana ara maryoga kunyara gusibia umuchando yikorwa somo bero na ende nonya ni gokuru umwaka 2011 twabere tukubweni abantu abange nande ni gare habo tabwatia ni side effect yara kolentere kiagera na yemete igo karibu sana senye gitari yetu ya HK International Medical Center.
Asamange bakiri simia senamba 0717 176 383 Health Kenya International obubwenia uligene.
Je, umekuwa ukitafuta mahali mtoto wako atapata msingi bora wa elimu? Haya sasa, usijisumbue. First Step School ipo kwa ajili yako. Shule hii ni ya kisasa iliyo na teknolojia za kisasa. Inaanzia chekechea hadi gredi ya 5, walimu waliohitimu, wanafunzi kuchukuliwa na kurudishwa nyumbani mwao na magari ya shule. Pia vyakula na snacks wapewa shuleni. Shule hii pia inayo ya ziada, yani co-curricular activities kama vile swimming, little chefs, yani upishi, art club na mengineyo mengi. Shule hii ina matawi mawili ambapo shule ya chekechea yapatikana eneo la Nyanchwa karibu na Nyanchwa Primary, na tawi lingine la kuanzia gredi ya 1 hadi gredi ya 5 lapatikana nyuma ya hospitali ya Nyangena, barabara kuu ya Kisii Makori. Kujiandikisha kwa wanaotaka kujiunga na shule hii mwaka ujao, mwaka 2025 waendelea. Watembelee shuleni au kupiga simu kwa nambari 0736317083 0736317083. Harakisha ili mwanao apate nafasi. First Step Schools, a step to success. Je, umekuwa na ndoto ya kumiliki simu uipendayo? Usijali tena. Tembelea Oppo Shop ambalo ni duka la simu Kisii Town katika jengo la Nyakioga Plaza karibu na Cooperative Bank. Wako na simu aina zote kama vile Infinix, Vivo, Redmi, Tecno, Nokia, Samsung, Itel, Oppo, Realme na zingine nyingi. Simu hizi unaweza kununua cash au kwa mpango wa lipa mdogo mdogo kupitia kampuni ya Onphone Mobile.
Karibuni sana Oppo Shop Kisii Town. Kuna simu aina mbalimbali, kuna za cash na pia kuna za lipa mdogo mdogo. Simu zetu ziko kwa bei nafuu na pia kuna simu original, sio zile za kusumbua. Unaweza chukua ya loan ulipie pole pole.
Ili kujiandikisha na kujua umefaulu kuchukua simu gani, bonyeza *797# na ufuate maagizo. Watembelee au kupiga simu kwa nambari 0740621822 au 0721873727 au 0722116444. Pia wako na phone accessories na wanafanya phone repair. Oppo Shop, pata simu ipendao kwa bei nafuu, cash au lipa mdogo mdogo. St. Angela's Preparatory and Junior School Mosocho niko bakubararia namba bwate amabaga wochakire class ya play group mpaka grade 9 aso mwaka o 2025 interviews chigenreta sikuru kiretukolie ikigo chakira Chinsa Ibere chamambia onye kubwato mwana abugolie ibiko bwatia gocha ase interview assessment report ya 2024 NEC assessment number amona rating material nigere mixed day amaboyiko nige bwate boarding section gochaka grade 4 weka grade 9 asamangana yendagira abanigo bakonyora balanced diet eskuru nigere yekerero na nibwate science lab computer lab obasombi na byonse biganairie nigegotoke bara ya Kisii Oyuges opposite Cardinal Tunga High School Mosocho asamange bakirisimia namba 0722 466697 gose 0702 584825 gose 0700 890075 St. Angela's Preparatory and Junior School Mosocho. The sky is the limit. Ine aino mwiburi ore na abana bao nogane tiase oragane baseruse yigentambe bona ekyombe kya Global Talent Organization inke bwata majibu yamaboryo ao uchakirachali kikomi mutinyo yugo November wikirachali kemerongero mutinyo December niko bono Global Talent Organization yariganiria migiri ya bene guchia sabana igatimia kitato wike miaka 15 netato ayuara kulekana se esukuro yanyanchwa Adventist Primary School yani NAPS asabara chikonyora maigiri au yugo kine chitalanta amegiri yo kwegeria mangana yobugima amegiri yisegito yogo korabuya asobugima egati ajanda mange boiko mbanyorogo semi wa samangana yichigosoli chio kwegia chigosolia au omono wimanyerio ICT na boigo meno yichise chaisiko amegiri yani gara koreke gochakira Chinsa Isatu chamambia goika Chinsa ikomi jama oroba kila litukulia Jumatatu goika Ijumaa enibo yogwa kana sikiro mwana nechisiringi chinyibere nechisiringi 50 asoyoragani umwana we gutumike gari nabo igo chiringi 50 asoyoraganie umwana ye kuragira gwakana sama tukonsi nigora ewe discount na gwakana chiribwisano echimisano nabo gakoro gwakana gochia CPB ya 522-533 account number ya 788-3339 asama elezande gosama bulyo akesimi ase namba 0750 560962 0750 560962. The Milimani Excellence School Primary and Junior Secondary inawatangazia nafasi za wanafunzi kujiunga na shule hiyo kuanzia preschool hadi grade 6. Shule hii inazingatia mtaala wa CBC na ina mazingira safi na salama, madarasa ya kisasa, walimu waliohitimu, vifaa vya kufunza, usafiri kuingia na kutoka shuleni, na inapatikana eneo la Milimani Kisii, barabara ya Mashauri kwenda Kiamabundu, mkabala na jengo la Lonya Home. Kwa mengi zaidi, piga simu kwa nambari 0704 911 018 0704 911 018. Harakisha umpe mtoto wako nafasi ya kupata elimu bora. The Milimani Excellence School, shaping the future. Nuligitie bintu ao vyogo tumekanyuba mwao usekoni ya seduka yao bono tuchandika nande Uru Superstores Limited numu sani urange monogo konelia asirigori ilili samura niko bakonia ebintu muneko bwatia asichindagira nebintu binde bya nyomba babwato bosibwo kuruga amuno bwa mandasi ki type ao amaguta yokoros chindagira gusego karanga chi type nechi size chionse omochere ebirengo nechingencho ao amavere echumbi chisabuni amunibinde binge voigo mbabwate chimusuro chiri komera amona moyo yichinyenjo chionsi emito ya heavy na light density tissue papers chitangi amone metungi ao asense moyo bwagachi mbabwate chisimiti amabati ayo abwate guarantee wiki miaka 15 emesumari chichuma chirangi original cha crown MDF boards wheelbarrows amone binde binge niko bari bwangu asoko kwabakoreri nebintu kwagorire niko gokobero gwikage shiri kyago andose asole
biamana so wake Simeo Superstores
batalire ase nyumba ya Uhuru Complex angena Credit Bank bara ya Hospital Road imijomo chubo songo
asamange aboko bakire sinya sinamba
011 116 1500 0111 16 1500. Wegona boku barikira liuka se email info@ourusuperstores.com usase website ya www.ourusuperstores.com. Uhuru Superstores Limited, guaranteed quality product at lowest prices. Karibu nyumbani.
Je, watafuta shule nzuri itakayokuza mtoto wako kielimu na kidini? Shule ya kisasa ya Hurricane Academy sasa ni suluhisho lako katika mtaala wa CBC. Wana walimu waliohitimu na kuthibitishwa na serikali. Karo yao pia ni nafuu kabisa. Wana mazingira mazuri na safi yanayowapa wanafunzi nafasi tosha ya kusoma. Pia wana viwango mbalimbali vya masomo ikiwemo ECD, primary na junior secondary, mahabara ya kisayansi na kompyuta, nafasi za wanafunzi kuchezea, usafiri wa kutosha, programu za kula yaani feeding program na mengine mengi. Usisahau kwamba wanatoa masomo ya Kifaransa na muziki. Shule hii ni ya kutwa na bweni kwa wanafunzi wa vulana na wasichana. Inapatikana katika eneo la Riatuenya, kilomita 3 na kutoka mji wa Kisii, katika barabara ya Kisii kuelekea Marani. Usajili kwa wanafunzi wanaotarajia kujiunga unaendelea. Zungumza nao kupitia nambari za simu 0755 331318 yaani 0755 331318 au kupitia tovuti yao www.hurricaneacademy.co.ke. Jinyakulie nafasi ambapo mtoto wako atapata masomo ya kisasa. Hurricane Academy.
Ijumeye imeyomorovelio werioba rie sabato umerana ne kwaya ya The Amazing Grace Ministers Kisii elio bagosesenia chingaki to kwarigania sabato imeyomorovelio werioba rie sabato
rero tigatotero manjani boye wakare ega kitigato boyoro manjani boye wakare o manjani warega wakene manjani botari na digitaliende
Rovelio kora to gocho sore nanje the senior antidote Cyrus Aziz gra ritukoria Ijuma ujakra Chinsa 12 chamagoroba inyora ime Etaya TV obarabu bwagusi
Tawateri bolyo Togo kubonya Nechibu na yobate Yeri bolyo Akora tebenga no manje tomane na yotaro chotara mancho yomoroche Eboli ebore na inde boiranirie
Etaya TV Oborabu Wagusi.
Wanchubuliria karibu na Etaya TV aremo unakumenya lituko lya rero nigutoracho kuonera the IEBC dilemma. Wanchubuliria sa twagete chikura cy'umwaka wa 2022 it was almost immediately uyo kabairaro mutirendli bwe kyombekeli ka IEBC akanyara kubaka ukora nene gasi yaye munere kawaida tu bas kyombekeli IEBC bono kuruerio pakalero nkeri replace na ndabona nakomanya mwancho baliria oikaraboniga we have wards tubate kibunge kinke kigabuna kiward unabona nakomanya ward ili ya Nyamaye which is very famous currently aso tatuara omo MCA magayo mo MCA obo gokwa. It has been time almost 2 years down the line tutana gutwara Alhamisi Chinsa machiri ne gati ye chiward chinde gati ye chinyinge munabona wasema tukabongo iga we have experienced resignations chiko korwa aba senator ana mono korwa se NCT ya Kenya kwa rasama tukabongo iga senator nara ali sign ya sekeli yote una magaya impeachment ya mokonyi bumara ibwenze katika shawa uyo kabero mokonyi ibwenze katika shawa oikiranigwa. He was among those people balenga against kachagwa koma impeached na magaga yayo ekaronekana nga otwaro ko sereri wakuba gimabwaye agaikirige tambo kiro yotebanga bono inche tigandi sign kabano mancho burilia ekaena kianga senator yenseme yutai wikraboni, which means it calls for a by-election. The same thing happens to Nyamaye. Ne chinde chinyinge tanyari ko chinyore chinde boniga. Nombata wakili mukaya itukolera me nyumba magani ona okurukwandru muchachi nero kagirgo ikaiga na batebega aho yemerubiriye nyangi bono lende kwikatura kivroom arasoma ko itukolera rero turakwana na wakili mukaya turamanya ki who should we blame aso gotabaroro kwa mangana ya IEBC wanchuburire kwa rasa matukabango iga kero broad based government go chikorosiwa kwa rochera ila Molo Odinga na regana mumare wenze William Samoei Ruto bakomerana kabisa tukarabako weke seyia nene kabisa yokwene kianga IEBC ko chikobere in place. Since then tojenga bada matukona baganda tukominyoka there is no sign ekoro kianga IEBC nero aina mangana tuko nero wakili. Meanwhile, karibu sana menyo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Machire ko libaga alia suma chubugeli omukwani omumanyenga iningo krokende.
Bia mono seri bageli aziz chenkoro ku mwakili Mokaya John Mumanyi no mutegere radio station ye na no mukazi of Kisii County. Sure. Kolegasi as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya in Kisii, Nairobi, and within the High Courts of the Republic ya Kenya. Na agokire kurangirwa na gocha goshare se mangana unaye.
Sure.
Bea mono.
Mukaya totaracha kama ngana ya ABC. Ngana neregendera tase mitundao ruto na cheta se county Taita Taveta. Yoko ndase county Taita Taveta asega teaching kwa na chiaye. He has been seeing blaming Kenyans so wateweka na the Kenya mbachangite sana asediri ya adan kwa cancelled na rojali yoko tebanga what gain do you get when you stop the building of an airport in your country? You have no deal how it is going to be built. Wale wanapinga hata wajui hawajai kanyaga airport, unapinga tu. Huyo ni Ruto alisema haya maneno. Meanwhile to quote a little bit, what do you think about this?
In my view, as Korora Kwane Kelinga, this is a bitter president. A president whose projects go saving to Viriata Getego Kolera Kenya, ebinge we could lead to taxing Eregoromono, na Kabere Vitaligo Sikonyor approval Yaba Kenya. Like, for instance, we are talking of airports. How many Kenyans? Of course, Ingo Konyere Koleta revenue to the Republic, but how many Kenyans of the 50 or 40 million Kenyans? How many travel using our airports? Most of us chipara to gotumia. Na bali hapa keba gotumia the airports here within the Republic are very few compared to balibaraga ni chipara chirosi.
Sure.
And you know encherako agokwana nobororo. Ekoro kinga he had interests. Na gokana kwa Kenya gokole bintebi. You know Kenyans has a leader utakere ko involve aba Kenya sebinto video kwa baelezera kwa if we recall very well during the leadership ya Uhuru Kenyatta, very few projects aba Kenya bale kokana because they would relate, they would approve na yekerase no nekero bako na chwe tax waka na baitabete. Now why the difference? Because mo Kenya tara feel obuansu which project ya serikali, and that is why bago kana. I believe he was addressing the judiciary because Kenyans, of course, in the social media and other platforms, but the people who put a stop to it were the judiciary. Now, once people or Kenyans went to court, the judiciary got the implementation of those projects. And I believe from the harsh words, he was addressing the judges and the judiciary. He assumed that then they should have because if the judiciary had not stopped, given orders to stop the execution, contract so he's a bitter president who I feel does not care about the common Kenyan. He cares about those Kenyans at the level abande bataligo filo bosale rutoko igunsa. You know, some of the Kenyans who travel using the airports, Talibanto, and supermarket bako kole shopping utinyomba. They rarely walk there. They don't know whether Kenyans have money or not. So he's a bitter president, I would say, who needs to sit down and recollect and know that whatever he's doing is for the people. So then he should involve the people in every decision he makes. Was a project akoganiko initiate. Yes.
Maybe on the same slightly, Sifuna almost Senator Nairobi.
True.
He came out, he said what he feels about Kenya batagete taliogokana.
Yes.
Just transparency.
Yes.
On the same thing, Kero aligo address bantu through the National Assembly. I mean, aligo yekane dili yega. Most of the people reactions say US did not find their done deal probably Kenya so considering mangana aruto Taita Taveta, considering a statement ya kwana National Assembly, and considering other leaders' views on mangana transparency. Does it mean the president was not igakomanya how the deal was corrupt?
It now is clear. Control the process because kero mangana ya rumors chagite gocha. You know, it began by rumor one of the CSs of Watiru in Dubai with billions of dollars in form of corruption. The president never uttered a word, agakira throughout. He went ahead bakaena na the Ketrako, chetenda gochia electricity supply gochia sadani, bakaena na airport, bakaena na supply is it internet or some connection to Shah, now the current NHIF. So after all these has failed, is coming out, but then it means he had an influence, he had a hand in it. Na nyalete ko na role engame batali go to make a TCS GPS konyara go implement obokurumio. And clearly, if there was information, look, in the US Adani, the director, one of the directors of the Adani company was arrested and is in court. Amachika Kenya under procurement laws do not allow the ways you go through for corruption contract. That is why we had to cancel it. The president had no option. But now the way he's cancelling it tells us that he had an interest. Initially, if he was transparent, minister nera ya edruchi besa chinga niga ligera ya dani a contract. That was the CS then for transport. Why would the country proceed as a president? He never got worried. He's now getting worried. What is his personal interest? Kenyans have refused it, and the whole world, even the US, has proved that these Adani company. It is involved in deals to make money for themselves and maybe for a few state officers. So the president has a lot to tell Kenyans, and indeed, because of evolution, he was forced to. Because one, the courts gave an order, and two, that Adani, the contractor who was contracted for has been found and has been charged for corrupt deals in other countries, including the US.
Sure. Pachoborelia nikotwara kura kunia kege singenjo ina kinkwana chumara iwense William Samoei Ruto chinga kyalenga state Taveta kago oblema abakenya sana asoko genda mamincha ne edire ya Adani abakenya bange ba complain tinano emuna wakila tebira krabagenda se court judiciary ekateneni the proceeding of edile yega ya Adani ko justice ya Kenya. But meanwhile uskabosio litukolea lero mancho murelia nikotete tukuvorani inkikarate pakasai IBC tali in place. I want us to start from there, and I want to give Wakili Ribaga ara toere number 1. Wakili ngotwana takublema soko tapa kwa IBC in place.
Establishment of independent commissions is a duty of the executive, and the leader of the executive, the president. We see Salaries and Remuneration Commission through the CSS, of course, who makes appointments. Kenya Human Rights Commission who make appointment through the CSS. So even appointment of IBC, the IBC commissioners resigned after the elections or during the elections, the 2022 elections. There were scuffles, there was a misunderstanding. We had 5 commissioners resigning, and we have the chairperson later on, Okaritaya, his term Mekaera. Those officers have not been replaced. That is a duty of the executive, a duty of the president directly. And he has been adamant to replace these officers. We know the law requires that he replaces these officers. Actually, the functioning of IBC are very crippled completely. You mentioned a few wards. We have 4 wards in the country. Chitarava, replacement chair MCAs, Bataiyo, Bandebasirete. We have almost 4 constituencies. Nachiro Chitaranyora, members of parliament, because the IBC is not functioning. Beyond the elections, Chioka, there's a requirement under Article 88 of the Constitution where IBC is formed, and the IBC Act. IBC nebwate mandate yoko and continuous voter registration and continuous voter sensitization, which we are not seeing. I've not seen an advert ya IBC on any TV station in the Republic. I mean, this was something that is supposed to happen all through. Continuous voter registration after 1 or 2 years after elections 2022, we expect that after mwaka yomo Ibere, there are so many voters who have not been registered. I mean, those should be captured, and that is a continuous process. IBC cannot proceed as saying in Jonga tebuati commissioners voniga bali batatu bali baro, they do not meet the quorum yoko nyara ko make a decision. No quorum, no any referendum, you know, no any an election. They can't even vet the candidates. So there is a challenge, and the ball stops as a court here president. Why he does not want to do that, we all don't know. They got into some arrangement. Now the opposition leader Raila Odinga formed a caucus committee, reforms or proposed election reforms, including IBC. The same have been presented to the president. He signed an IBC amendment bill a month or so ago. We expect that the law actually requires 2 years to an election if commissioners Mbaraba field. If any commissioner comes less than 2 years before election, they may not take part in those elections. So there is a requirement there on the president to establish IBC today. And it's an emergency.
We are doing good. The only problem I have is 2024. Some 2 years or so to 2027.
Yes, to an election.
So does that one mean 2027 into what elections?
That could be the plan of the executive. It could be a plan. My saying, Tinda Tebanga Neri plan. But if IBC is forming according to the IBC Act and the Constitution, too late to the election, then it means those commissioners appointed cannot oversee an election. We will not say there can't be an election. The law provides that after every 5 years, there must be an election. What we will then have is a scenario, take a committee, ya leadership as a presidency at the executive level, maybe for 5 or 6 months, toganyete go establish IBC. That means the president would be in office for 6 months illegally, or for 5 months illegally as they constitute IBC, which is a scenario Kenyans would really mbatageti. Ondeta yotagete ruta bere in office for more than metienye tate nego jime. Batagete ba moirani ko se ba morusi. So it's a scheme, it's a plan, but I know other bodies, including civil societies, the church, pressure, you know, church gave an ultimatum, 1 or so weeks, the IBC ever established. So Kenyans and the civil society are putting pressure on the president. He's reluctant, but finally we know, and I can tell you Dichiko will catch up with him, and he'll have no option but to establish and constitute IBC. Yes.
Wancho mulgile bunugete wakili agenda takoerera nechinchera number one, there are possibilities kagara bunko whatever nanjira bomete yonga it should be at least in office 3 years before elections. But is kolgile libuye ene miaka ibiri na totigaliti to some 2 years and some months higa to so choli abu mwakabukilifu ne mronge ibiri na isano na ibiri. Currently bunko na wakili areire we have wards, we have counties, chitabuati senators, we have constituencies, chitabuati ababungi. How should we go about it? Wakili. Abantu ababoni kabatabuati representatives either in the county assembly or in the national assembly. How ngakiwa wanatakomenya?
That is I believed before we impeached Gachagua for any reason, the president would have been held accountable for not establishing IBC because he is failing. This is a duty that is based if our legislature, if our MPs were genuine, they would have first begun by questioning the president. Even if that impeachment was to come for failing to execute his duties, then should have come against the president. But now, these people, but about the representation, you know, it is sad that in the assembly, views change on Jirigoika. At the national level in parliament or the Senate, you are not represented. And you know, Kenyans, the constitution provides for those positions a article or section indicating a representation. You know, now we are not represented, or these regions are not represented. It is absurd. But nande tu ebolia. You saw Moisonde, they passed, the executive, the president passed, is trying to pass a bill, yakotebanga, live streaming ya elections, tekorwa. You know, we don't have an IBC, but we are already foreseeing live streaming, and we want tekorekana. Kenyans are worried, and any normal thinking Kenyan would worry. Ninke president ye pangete beyond 2027, because he does not want live streaming. He's putting an amendment. He does not want to put up IBC or delay it tactically, accurate. So Kenyans should be worried. And in our kaka, sometimes we talk and say we foresee, God forbid, that in 2027 it might be worse than 2027, because the scenarios, the incherebi ntogi andata ko korwa, korrekananga muntu naro tagete kerogeke by chinguru, gose kunyara ko manipulate Kenyans to a certain direction. We pray and hope that the president is held accountable. Aba jumbe baito na ba MP baito wale ko igora mato barole baache open and question. That is their work. Kunyara go audit the executive, which they are not doing, because the president what they jump left, left, what they right, left. They are not questioning the executive, and the executive has had a leeway yokonyara go etie bintu bitatakeri na konyara ko umiza bake using the powers of what in parliament. Yes.
Maybe if I may ask wakili, before broad-based government tararosi untu atualite abantu kurobekana sana, forcing finance bill 2024 koba kicked out tebasa kuitiwa, and after that one, that is when we want troche broad-based government ekoroisiwa na mno kuga kwa ndanga Raila mba umerana tena Ruto bakarosie kamati ebwanete go lead ogotwara kwa IEBC in place. Do you think in atwara gotwara a strong opposition even a broad-based anga IBC are very in place kuchianga things are being pushed? Because recently kirobali ngataita taveta Moisonde I overheard alias Joho you previously Ulenge is very serious. Ulenge go call the president to be very much accountable. Keregento bono very side ye president, if he was even warning people bantu bande bonse bako inside no na bantu bako tumeka online go criticize what the president is doing. Do you think ngangonye tutwara opposition is very strong angantu bwata IPC in place currently?
I strongly believe had the opposition been working, yendri yare kolegasi anga IBC abere reason. Ligereli, how did we come up with this committee, the subcommittee ya Rosetigu yogo chiko kugiva suggestions na kia IBC yako established? It's because of the maandamanos Baba did. Baba was on the streets, and one of the demands he had is the establishment of IBC. He said amendments chikorua said the IBC Act. That is why Ruto acted very fast out of fear. Kabaragirega maandamano chutorosi IBC. Had the opposition remained steadfast, today anganto bwate IBC, because the committee would have given a report. Immediately after the report, establishment was the process starts running. But since opposition kamerua neserekali, now after the broad-based kind of setup, one opposition yakule, you saw Juneto Katabana, the leader of opposition, and is speaking on behalf of government. You know, it beats logic. The opposition that is currently led by Musyoka and Eugene and others are not pushing enough. Now, the only opposition leader apart from the president Raila, who was also that is part of the weaknesses to what the president has managed to coira the opposition. But no, what he says, the opposition speaks it louder. Actually, he thinks the opposition yamo kwanera. So now, scenario to tabu at the opposition, and that is why the president is reluctant. The president are relaxed. He has put in the foot soldiers of opposition in government, and they are now speaking for government. Part of the laxity is because we lack a strong opposition. Yeah.
Maybe as a possibility. What if the government is pushing very much AU, and that one will be at least relieve the government pushed so much we can even to be in there. But on the other hand, what if Raila Tara, do you think he will come back and be still remain the broad-based government?
From the talk, from the words chair opposition, Junet, when Junet speaks, you know, he speaks on behalf of Baba. From the words Chia Joho, Oparanya, those are the big wigs, ODM, now that is the opposition. They speak Konyara Korokyo Mokenyanga, they are in government and they are not willing Kororo. When you hear Juneta Goteva 2027 on the Tayom Serakari, Akolide Kibata Getembali Yepinga, you know that is what he was saying?
He said so.
He was saying, Serakari to Ateva, Tolichi Para, Yarosi, Tolichi Nyomba, Yarosi, Kirende Toko Yepinga. That is to say, ODM and Kenya Kwanza are in support of government. That is beyond 2027, But if Baba does not win, if he wins this position, we are sure once you win the AU chair, you are barred from taking part in national politics and other countries. You now become a father figure of the African region, of the African continent. So you will not take part directly. But if he loses, we are sure, we don't know, but I believe if Baba is not in AU, where else would he be? Maybe as a prime minister in Ruto's government, or as a deputy, it is possible, you never know. So he will definitely be in this government. But let's also look at it. Lazima Baba opposition imanyakoba. We have very other strong candidates, but Mutata is one of them. Kenyans trust him. We have rumors out here that Matiang'i has declared, and that is another wing that Yabeire Kalonzo is there.
Sure.
There would other forms Chigo Chachia opposition, which would I believe would be very strong than even Baba. If Baba decides to retire and join government or join AU, well, we wish him well. But the Kenyans, through other faces, are coming up now, a strong opposition, which we believe to level Choko develop. Yes.
Maybe what are the possibilities? One of the possibilities is very serious, and it is and you have echoed them Junet. You know, those are people we as Kenyans really dependent. One of them being IEBC. What are some possibilities to work for IEBC Kobaro?
Kenyans
maybe on the same alternatively when we got to our Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei pushing for a term limit extension. Do you think Rokenda Serakali Kanyagete? Meanwhile, back strategies to extend the term limit to elected leaders?
I would answer and say with the current presidency of the executive, really anything is possible. You can't trust him to keep the rule of law. You can't, Kenyans have said, and it's all over. He lies a lot, sorry to use those words. And you can't, predict Ninke president, so even when Cherargei or a close follower, president, and a member of the Kenya Kwanza government, and the UDA party, Agocha Kobeke bill, you will extend the presidential term limit. Well, he has his freedom. We could imagine now about the freedom of thought. Maybe Taraba influenced the president. But sometimes so we could know now we are suspecting he is in that. Now the delaying tactics are establish IBC partially indicate IBC. So really we plead with the civil society. The church recently became a strong critic. It has now taken the role of opposition. You can imagine church leaders are coming up to tell the president or cite the president. Which role the politicians and the opposition? But the church, after reading opposition, then it takes up that role. So we hope the church will be able to put enough pressure on the president. Civil society groups, pressure. IBC have established. That is the only way we can be sure of a free and fair election in 2027. I mean, how do you appoint a commissioner maybe 1 year to election and expect exercise independence. You know, already you've rewarded this a person kwa rewarded kwa ile miremo obere ro mwako yomo, he's still very no monto or submissive to the appointing authority. Yes. So we expecting a back of affair. That is why we want these people for service, trained on independence, because as commissioners come to office, they are taken through various trainings, various courses that tell you then that as a commissioner you're supposed to be independent, how to exercise your duty, how to remain otalikoba influenced. I mean, for over a training year 2, 3, 4 years would give you some skill ekonyara go avoid koba. I mean, konyara go bend to one side. But assume you're 1 year into office and the president calls you, nero go appointed yago ta intagete you know. That is why Kenyans are very fearful of a free and fair election without IBC being formed in time. Yes.
It is giving me fear, and he's talking of free and fair elections come 2027. Probably, for real, 3 years at least, fair. But a year too, it becomes so tricky. Na gotuara free and fair elections probably as come 2027 we can aboni if things don't change as soon as possible, then we as Kenyans ntorase ale tricky kidogo. But mimi kwa elmo ancho mngilia muri kitoga ropita kurase county ya Nyamira nikako manyenga abamenyi kurase orobebe ruwe wodi ya Magombo ne ya Gachuba chonsi chigotoka se bunge ya Kitutu Masabe county ya Nyamira nikobono be murunga neiri okubutoka kumorero ase chinsemo echo ogwana neta TV ase kenyoro kiamiriri nigo banyeganirie ekiombe kiriagia Kenya Power anene monoro sagia rwa Nyamira kulingoria omochando yo na okonyonyorera richibu anene mono kwenekia omuriro otaliko na kubutoka na ndote bwati bochando onde bwensi ngajira genda sema yakaro ye studio tubana no muri kitogero Peter.
Biemano sana agigonda se orobebe rwe wodi ya Magombo ne wodi ya Gachuba chonsi kutoka se bunge ya Kitutu Masaba ime county ya Nyamira abage kerogoli abana bamenye korwa se chinseme chiga babere bakwemurunganiria okogenda gusuko butuka kwa omolero abwasebe bwate amabori amange gukia sekiombe kia Kenya Power orosagia rwa Nyamira igango tikatura igwango nga kerokende okogani kwabo nkorokiko na kerokendo kwemurungani kwabo nkorokiko koiga korwa se chinseme chiga igoro yoko butoka kwa omolero na kerokendo omolero yekero chire oboibi nko babole mechando ki igo cha baleta tigato chake noyo
wabeire ne mochando asestimeye ntoma tinga estimeye nigere ya Kenya Power gosine yomonyene ekogera guchakera kurua tombe gocha miriri ense meyi ense pitu amenyiro mosunte kirenga kiego ekogenda estimeye ato chandire myaka yensi na ntoro chibaita yaye abacha barusi chigwaya chiaba bagene nacho ekogera kende ngeyo ntogo tukano ngoko no kende ntogo samba no ne merango bono yetu eta asare nene twachandekire Kenya bawerigereri toigunga ne sense bekire tombe essence yitiga kuya mesire mbura ya mesire estime kogenda yagenda matukabere yagenda matukatatu titua na korora buya bwa sitimantu kera lituko gocha etobwate egesunte abayina bwa baba imokire bago tibera obyo
etukumetinga Kenya Power estimene ya Kenya Power etali omonyene chi transformer chire chimbe chi transformer chiba chenchi bogaki barosi bogaki ntotama etinga miriria gose tokateneneire na tombe yo ekiagera togo pimeru toko iguge go chake gekoenda tombaro mbabwate etobwate challenge chimbe igoro yestima una bano botuko boibi bantu ntori no nyeno monto tugete no ene bichuchu ebingo tugera bale bichuchu chitibyo konyoronyo monto gwogeti no ene radio onye stima ya chiete koenda gegocha bune gocha gosamba kiregento bono asobwe ngentoro chi buya bwe stima etogo saba iga Kenya Power onye stima ye kerenga miriri era ini ya miriri kortombe miriri bana intori gwakana bate banya no gwakana tutali gwakana ikera chibesa gwakana tore batato abusa tali mosata onye intori bantu tutakire korora stima buna abande baje barusi chiwayechi moire tomanya ntobugati stima ikiera ntoro chi fighter asara yo katoroje eche na koenda chisimi ntori gotwara ukogore simi estima gegocha gekoenda gegocha ya sambire tori komanya inga chinse koenda gose chinsa ya jire tori komanya kere koenda na ende kere gocha yongo saba Kenya Power gakia bakaji ba miriri onye intuandake chiraini chieito gose tokari gwakana chibese chinke chiraini tobugate chitari konyara go control go save morero buya mochando kibono totebi onye stima kere yo monyene erusi gwa Kenya Power erete onye Kenya Power eto gwakana chitokeni motobekere stima buna abantu bande kina kitogo sana
Kenya Power etobwate bana transformer chire chinke kobuye chinde because miriri gaiga kere estimate iyo gwerende mumbu gachube estimate rororo pono tukubuli etu transformer tubwate chingao kitari chiri chitabweka ni chiri gachuba mumbu chikuru chikole to muriro koru kiumbu goika koru tombega igaro problem kibona estimate yebwate ereni ya tombe kucha miriri mpaka magombo kwanza. In fact estima ya miriri yebwate shida pono Kenya Power muna nche bono to nyekwa rere cheko ngakarete kurende chi token lakini estima ya manya kogana chi token chichia estima kere gechiete transformer yani muriro nturi gutumeka asiki asenyenjo ngakarete kurende token lakini tiri gutumeka stima onye stima yetiri gotokonya abantu ba Kenya Power mbago cha borusi stima yega iga tolete stima ngao eyira tokonya miriri kobwa gutwara estima chiwa ya chiete iguru gaiga totabwa timure
tomane tina estimere yo monyene onye kere yo monyene tago togore metaire tumane estima teyo onye Kenya Power batatora estimere erinde egesunte kere miriria kere nainde estima etogo pimerwa ya chalime wiki yagenda buna bono mira toreiga estima teyo emete toroje chiwa chiera tana gotorigere estima teyo nimbwato hoteli yeye buna chiao sakora mbira nusu chikasa mchachire kesi mera ororo kole mera libale iga paka saa 2 iga nanyona chiranyona sabuni bono chitoke niechi ekesi manga kiko na kana kesi maya chira ande irani kingwa kana egyo challenge ne gati abu Kenya Power onye estimane gereje ino torosire estima erinde tokoraki tokole biashara
bono miriri ga iganto bwate biashara togokora estima ngo tokonyera ase biashara muchande bwato mube bono kero kende buna bono nimbwate tingango sia abankonyora ba chikasoma chale ntire chibando chiato ke estima ya to kayagenda busaigo ka frequency ya kendire ga nekendo kenda gwo ke estima nga ya chire bono yanyarekana kero kende chibande chinande bacha baira tinko basera bachi baira tinga ya magute karasa atambe kyar monta akole merikora nancha naende nkonyoro le biashara ntu bwate buna bone bechi saipa abantu bakurusi photocopy go chiabu na yana beko genda naende yatinye biashara igo nga estima nabo batoete buya lakini bona naende toete challenge esi nyinge nga gwikana ne tuligi minis go sini channel taturagore one ina ende ngabuna ne estima totabwati igo nga yari konyarekana ga Kenya Power na bayare korora nga muchando kyo estima yego talentera butambe eko gerego igo chake naende yagenda so ndo chenga muchando ntubwate system
ekere estima tayo oboibigo kobucha gesunte kiabe kenene igo Kenya Power eto algo sabanga munyare ko bamogoto konya nonye no boibigo bunyare ko babogosira ose bana bagakaba minto tali
muna gwatigire koigwa bana bananchi korwa se chiwodi Ibere wodi ya Magombo ne wodi ya Gachuba chonsi kutoka sebunge ya Kitutu masaba beri bago kwanera igoro yoko butoka kumulero ase chinseme chiga gochakera chinsa chamagoroba bago tebanga ebinto ne binge bago tumeka umulero yo asogo sambereri ase chitinga na biga asogo chajesi chisimi asobo tugi kerokende gogo kinie bichuchu bono noko boli go chase ekembe ya Kenya Power gose kampuni ya Kenya Power rosagi ya Rwanyamira kwene kinga babere bago esokya na kolingolia chinseme chiga korwase chinsemo chia tombe weka chinsemo chia miririga elina barabo banyare kogokera obokoreri obuya bw'umulero korwase ekembe ya Kenya Power. Goripoteri ya Etaya Television kurasa rubebe rwe wodi ya Magombo ne wodi ya Gachuba chonsi kutoka sebunge ya Kitutu masaba me county ya Nyamira lietalia na igonkoro kwa Ogero Peter
Wanchua muligerelia karibu na ende mi murubili kwa na neta chinga kitoka na tukukonera igoro yangana ya the IEBC dilemma iyo nuko ure wakili agendete kwarera na nigo nkumanyigwa mu muriria mugavana bwe county ya Kisii nigo nkumanyigwa ngachinga kichiga niko aumirane kamati ye bunge ye senate ase ogotema kwerera amangana y'obutumeki bw'ekibesa tosukana nyanga ko mancho muri kyagera bayitu bamangana mbagendera ko yatukayona yanda mange chikuraga ensa eyamo yabona mu baso Chinsa 10 Chinsa ibere cyabo tukona Chinsa nye cyabo tuko kinga kitogotora amangana maya senchira y'obuikerano no yanyoro onsi asenchira y'obuikerano kinga kejiga teto kama wakili ndo kinga kichiko minyoka sana to kama wakili baga turakwana birata tone no the same issue ya IEBC enkwaro kwanera igoro ya the possibilities wakili turaboraniga we have said yes we don't have a good opposition that might push as IEBC gotabororo what of our abajumbe baitu mbabo gete barabugo se barabuno they are in a deep slumber na baro yaganyita ba led with their chief leader.
We realizing and toroche kuna MPs. You remember MPs in the first place. Finance bill nja etete parliament. Baadaye Wakenya wakayekana ikaiyeliwa. We've had instances parliament egoetia amachiko atali popular na Wakenya. The tax bill, I mean the finance bill, ya recommend the taxes aba Kenya. You had njira aba jumbe baito bangigorusi bande isiko bare kokwana ne kiburi, you know. Ngango etitole nkimoragole. That means and it is what they famously call state capture. The presidency, the executive yanyalire kubwatana na the legislature eba kokwana omonwo yomo. Whereas the legislature ko oversight the executive, but they have failed on that role because they have the majority in parliament. Once it has the majority, before IT kende gions, a parliamentary group meeting in State House, you never know what they exchange. Maybe they are lectured, and sometimes allowances go exchange their hands. We hear those stories. So once these allowances they go to parliament with one mind to support the serikali. So we do not as hope parliament as is currently, not unless Juzi Babo Wino was saying it takes you to suspend your reasoning and that means so currently as is currently bunere abanta bange ba suspended their reason ebabwazitia serikali including our MPs abange, a majority of them they have decided kubwazitia serikali kusikubwazitia executive the president for their own selfish reasons batigiro mokenye ruanerere. And that is where Mokenya must come up through all social media, through all forms kunyara kurwani bintebia serikali yakora. But from parliament we don't expect, we don't see hope. Yes.
Maybe kamati ya bigetwe wakili na pro-based government currently.
Yes.
Did go beke sign yoko chake mangana yobona yoko ba in place ya IEBC kamati ya biget, what is happening with them? Does it mean they were not empowered? They are under.
You know, Aziz, we can tell around June, July, the committee presented its report. The committee has finalized its part and handed over the recommendations to the president. Now, the report obviously was a desk here president. It is for the president to implement. He's the one who would delay the implementation because the committee, we saw Kalonzo was a member, the majority and the minority leaders, members, presented their report sometime between June, July, and August. So the president has the recommendations, and now he's the one sitting on that report. That's why Kenyans and civil society are asking him, can you proceed and implement, even without that report? You know, he has the powers to constitute. That report, the committee, come up na amendments to the constitution and the election, the IEBC Act. Barete more members, you remember? Getting as a commissioners valia, barete be kanisa babere, opposition here guli bageli mo Ibere. You know, ligare error connect to be the face of the country. That was the main reason the establishment of that multi-sector committee yoko nyara kokoraki ko give amendments and recommendations. But beside that, the IBC Act neruete ncherebi ntebibi konyara gokorwa lichi kondiro liko tebanga. There is a vacancy in a commissioner, replace. You simply advertise. Once you advertise, people apply. Their qualifications totake iriobo mwanasiasa for the past 10 years, totake iriobe ineni a civil servant or in civil service for a specific period. And if you meet those regulations, then you are appointed and you meet the thresholds independence according to the committee of it. So the president has options to either follow that report and make amendments, appoint IBC, go sabu adirichi kobuna lide without amendments. Achole that commission, abatige ba colleagues yabo. That will give the independence and IBC chinguru chogo chaga colleagues.
Panchogo nilibiri kumyoka sana. Maybe wakili the last word in a second kindly.
Biamono na gokire koberaga. I'm proud to be a viewer and a discussant for the invitation. Kwa niya bantu baito botambe unangoteba bagusi Kitutu Chache South na Bugeka Ward. Mbakwani kabisa mbatomera makwaniane no mwanobo mukaya mumanyi or John Mwakili.
Thank you so
much.
Thank
you so much. I'm proud to having been.
Thank you. Thank you. Panchogo nilibiri kirabo. Tukolera na ikiromwali wa murubili kwana neta chinga kitwaru kwana na wakili anaona mangana arengete otabarro kwa IBC for almost 2-3 years down the line bono na nabutwara kuda kubona what are the possibilities ya IBC koba arotos kola nyagake kobolenga ndako tegereta TV na botambe kubata nuku yali tukolia rero Philemon Okong etimlira yana no arenga kono ko morika chibisha kabisa ko ene kianga twasa seide no mogeni veni murango nero lenga sema transmission ko ene kemaligune chibicha aikira senchira engia kigimada yana komboka gisoi nero tori kubara terali tukolia rero anema no ko ene kimurugeli ko na etaya o ene kirigwe na koba umoikerano anjire kolrabo bolingambia mono asoko baiga mno botambe diana ndigonkuru kwa Cyrus Aziz Mogeni. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I'm humble.
Thank you.
Asante.